Here is a CSS puzzle that has burned every Flexbox user at least once. You set flex basis to 200 pixels on a flex item. You write the rule, you save the file, you switch to the browser. The box is bigger than 200 pixels. The browser nodded politely and then ignored you. This is not a bug in your CSS. It is a feature of the Flexbox spec that almost nobody learns about. Today, we find out exactly why it happens, and the one-line fix that the docs barely mention. Start with a flex container holding two children, a sidebar labeled menu, and a main area with a long line of text. Turn the container into a flex row. Fix the container width at 400 pixels so we can see exactly what fits. Now the sidebar gets 100 pixels, and the main area gets flex basis of 200 pixels. The text stays on one line. But look, the main blew past 200 pixels. Flex basis was overruled. Here is the dirty secret. Every flex item has a hidden minimum width set to auto. That sounds harmless until you ask what auto actually means. It resolves to the min content size of the item. Min content for text is the longest unbreakable run of characters. For wrappable text, that is the longest single word. For a line with white space now wrap, the whole sentence counts as one chunk. The browser refuses to shrink a flex item below its min content size, no matter what you put in flex basis. So flex basis is really just a starting suggestion. Min content always wins the fight. The spec authors were not trying to break your layouts. They worried about the opposite problem. Picture a flex container with 8 items and no minimum safety net. The browser would happily shrink every item down to 0 pixels wide if flex shrink kicked in hard enough. Form fields would collapse, buttons would vanish, text would become invisible slivers, so they added min width auto as a safe default. Your content stays visible by accident. The cost is that flex basis stops being absolute. It is a hint, not a contract. Once you understand the trade-off, opting out feels obvious. Back to the broken layout. The main area refuses to sit at 200 pixels wide. Add one rule: min width 0 on the main item. This overrides the auto default. The box finally shrinks to 200 pixels. The text still spills out since we have not clipped it yet. Add overflow hidden and text-overflow ellipsis. The text now clips with 3 little dots. Main area sits at exactly 200 pixels. Flex basis finally means what you thought it meant. A few traps worth flagging. First, the same trick applies vertically. In a column flex layout, the hidden default becomes min height auto. If your flex direction is column, you will need min height 0 on the children. Second, CSS Grid has the exact same default. Every grid item carries an automatic minimum size pinned to its content. Same fix applies. Third, text-overflow ellipsis does absolutely nothing on a flex child without min width 0. The box never shrinks below the text, so there is nothing left to truncate. And finally, do not slap min width 0 on every flex item by reflex. Apply it only where you actually need the item to shrink past its content. So the next time flex basis seems to be ignored, you know the real story. Min width auto is the hidden default sitting on every flex item. Min content always wins the size negotiation. And one tiny line, min width 0, is the difference between a layout that breaks and a layout that does exactly what you told it to do. Now you can stop fighting your own CSS.